I'm going to start off first on this video. I'm just live streaming actually from not far, about 40 minutes west of Edmonton in Alberta, just to kind of get out and continue to test the capability of our in-community training, how we're getting set up to deliver training that's not just in a classroom, but training that is can be facilitated from really anywhere, out of a truck, on the land, at a fire hall, at a community hall, anywhere that a vehicle can get to. So there'll probably be a little bit of background noise in this live stream, but I'm going to give a quick rundown of exactly how we've got things set up here to do this and how it informs our ability, which I'm just going to bring you out here because I don't have a wireless camera yet. So I just need to make sure my cable. But what we're doing here is we're just streaming with a Starlink out of the back of the truck. The truck is not running. There's a Bluetti power supply there, that large block that's got a extension cord and the Starlink plugged into it. And then we are, hopefully we're running this okay. We're running this solar panel here. So we're not actually drawing on any of the battery reserves that we've got. It's all based on solar. And then as far as doing the work and the setup in the vehicle, this is kind of how things are being run. You can see there, it's just a small sort of couch desk, I guess. It's meant for a couch. It would slide under the couch. It's in the back of the vehicle. And then there's a small monitor with an arm there. So we can do, Zoom calls, lessons, things right from the back seat. And I think what's going to be most effective about this setup is just how portable it is and how you can essentially just do what you need to operationally from a vehicle. And you can see right now, even the solar panels have gone behind a little bit of a cloud, but they're drawing in 57 watts of power, and we're using 107 watts with a 61% charged battery. So when the sun was out, we were bringing in about 100, and it was about 120 watts. So we were actually starting to get power out of this setup. And I think the Bluetti system is good because it's very, I'll show you again here if you're just joining us. The Bluetti system, like I've been carting that around for coming up 2 years, and I throw it everywhere. It's been in the rain, it's been on dusty roads, it's been in the back of the truck strap there, and it still runs really well. So that's the complete setup with the solar panels. I'll show you the energy input and output pretty soon, but that's the battery bank that is charging off the solar and running the Starlink and running the laptop and the other monitor. And so, hello Legend. Yeah, so this is again what we've got set up here. We're doing remote training, remote live streaming, and just trying to get down to a very effective system. So here you can see with the laptop unplugged and the sun is back out from the clouds, we're drawing 114 watts of energy and 54 watts of power. So we're actually charging the battery as we do this, which is kind of handy because if you get the solar panels actually set up in the right at the right angle, at the right height on a nice day, those panels can pull in probably over a couple hundred watts of power and charging. So this is how we are getting set up to do mobile operations, mobile training, mobile emergency and disaster management support across the country, especially in remote communities where we need to be self-sufficient and where we need to not be a bother to communities as, you know, they are holding evacuations and looking after their people. If you've got support in community, you don't need other contractors, you don't need other consultants coming out and, you know, having to take up resources, living space, things like that. So that's why it's taken a couple years, but we're trying to get to like this fairly remote and capable system, also without having to, you know, purchase a large RV or a trailer, at least at this point in the game, because then you get into pulling trailers and you're limited to where you can go, and it just creates other issues in terms of mobility. Especially if you are going to be out for a while, you need water, you need power. We generally are in places where we can, you know, be self-sufficient without the need for sort of that hard asset like a trailer. But in terms of, you know, the way things are going today, and, you know, climate change is coming and things like that, I'm just going to get in here. Being a little bit more self-sufficient is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to having to work. There we go. And it's, you know, we do, if you have watched before, you can get our daily Canada emergency. Hey, Vanished, welcome back to the live stream. You can get our daily Canada emergency management situation report off our app at app.hazardscape.com. And we're really just working on redefining the summary to kind of get the most critical and up-to-date information. Oh, good. You got your first aid and CPR tomorrow. That's awesome. That's going to go good with your firefighting training that you're doing and getting ready. So yeah, if you need these sit reps, these situation reports, you can basically go on to app.hazardscape.com and get this exact report and download it every day. Is it easy? Like, is it easy to get your first aid and CPR? Yeah, it's easy. You're not gonna, just don't make out too long with the CPR dummy. If they're still doing that, or maybe they'll just have you do chest compressions. But yeah, you'll get it. Don't be too concerned about that. And then we're also launched you can get your emergency management certificate right now on our app. So if you want to combine any previous sort of emergency response, education, even if you're in child and family services, even if you're in an industry where business continuity is important, you can get your emergency management certificate right now through us, which is going to give you your basic EM certificate, and you do get a certificate with a digital badge. Once you complete the course, then and you pass everything, you get access to that. So it's available. You can start right now. The first 3 units are uploaded. I am uploading the next 5 units over the course of the next 3 weeks. So if you wanted to log in and start your certification and get through these first lessons and units, you can do that right now. And then as the other ones drop on the app, then you can access those when they become live. And then from there, we're going to be adding the advanced learning ones. Yes, it is stuff you can put on your resume. Absolutely. On your profile, when you pass, you're going to get a My Certificate link, and you're going to be able to go to the digital badge. You can share this with your employer on your resume. It tells you what the credential is, what the badge represents. And then you can also download a printout to show them or keep up at your desk if you need to. So yeah, it's legit. I mean, I've been doing disaster and emergency management training, design, and development for 9 years. And this basic emergency management course, from an Indigenous context, is better than what most provinces put out. Yeah, you could use this as the footsteps to being a fire chief. I mean, fire chiefs today are very integrated into the emergency management system, and they do need this basic training. And a lot of fire chiefs in municipal communities take basic emergency management training for sure. So absolutely, this is applicable to anybody in a First Nation, Métis, or Inuit community at any role. If you want to have education or training that is legit, that is based off Canada's frameworks, that is researched and developed through professional curriculum developers, then this is no different. The only thing different about it is, Hazardscape is not a post-secondary institution. But I can tell you that the training is just as good as what you're going to get from provincial territorial government training courses. We do this one is you can take it fully self-paced online. And then I'm also hosting Zoom calls and in-person training for it as well. So, given this is today's fire danger. So given the fire danger we're at, given the warming trends that we're going to be experiencing this summer into next summer, anybody who works in a community at any level, whether it's a finance admin, HR, firefighter, graphic designer, IT person, doesn't matter, integrating into your community emergency management program is vital. And that's what we're helping to, grow here in terms of wanting to give people an opportunity to learn the basics and learn the terminology that's going to help them be able to work with other municipalities, other First Nations, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're pretty excited to be on the road this summer and get all this out and going, because it's very unique, right? We're going to be able to do this from wherever we are. And if people want to train at a fire hall, if people want to train, out on the land, in a field, wherever, we are now set up to provide this delivery. And it's going to be unique because it's going to get people out of the classroom. It's going to give them a little bit of a different experience, right? So hoping that it's a good fit for everybody and that it takes hold. So if you're just catching the recording of this, leave us some comments. Let us know what you think and how this might benefit your community. It's here for Indigenous communities across Canada through sponsorship. Well, you can, by looking at the map there, you can kind of see the prairies and Ontario, BC, and Northwest Territories. They've historically had the worst wildfires, but I think, given the number of wildfires over the course of, if you look at history going back, it's Manitoba. Manitoba's had probably the most, with Saskatchewan, Alberta, in terms of clustering around those fires. So Manitoba, it has had the most, at least. What's the most severe? Well, Fort McMurray was pretty severe. Slave Lake, when you have communities burning down, Little Red River, Cree Nation, Fox Lake was very severe in terms of the damage. So emergency management prevents fires from having fuel? No. Emergency management manages the response and the risk. Forest management manages and tries to prevent forest fires. So you have to think of emergency management as the coordination body, the linkage between all the different departments that have to work together, right? Whereas forestry management, they focus on reducing fire risk through forest management practices. But Canada is so huge, it's got so much forest, it's really difficult to manage well. Hang on, I'm just gonna grab my water, but I can keep talking. So yeah, when you get to community, like large forest operations in large parts of the country, you want to have a management system that is integrated. You want to have a management system that's integrated so they're all working together. Your mom's reservation looks like it was destroyed in a way that prevents fires. Why? Because they had so much burned down. That's not, if that's what you mean, that's not a great way, and it doesn't actually reduce the risk. It's those forested areas grow back very, very quickly, and they can often grow back in a way, if they're not managed properly and replanted and tended to properly, they can come back just as risky, right? Because they also contribute to flooding, because if it's been a very hot sort of ground fire and the soil and the vegetation is completely burned down, then you run into a situation where the land doesn't soak up the water anymore. And you have this situation where the water just runs off of it like a water slide, because there's no way to absorb it. It's not like a sponge anymore. It's like a very hard rock. So that's what that's kind of the risk. If you saw a Lytton fire in BC, all of the hills that burned. Yeah, I remember the beast. Fort McMurray. Yep. Absolutely. So yeah, this is, given today's fire outlook and where we're headed with the extreme heat in the country. Yeah, I think, I can't remember if Fort Mac was a lightning strike or a human caused. I want to say it's human caused, but I can't quite remember if that was the case. I might have to look that up again, because I don't want to misquote myself, because I always get it kind of confused with some of those other ones. But currents of wildfire, let's see. Yeah, it was suspected that it was caused by humans, but there is no official cause has been determined or agreed upon. At least that's what some of the reports are saying from like Global. Reuters is saying humans probably caused it, out of the reporting. So I don't know. It's hard, right? Because when you have trains and trucks and trailers that throw sparks mixed with ATVs and trucks running through tall grasses, and you have people leaving fires unattended, like people throwing their cigarette butts out the window. There's so many human causes that can create a fire. It's kind of difficult sometimes to nail it down, but I also sometimes wonder if Fort McMurray, if the investigation was able to pin it down, but if there was just some sort of, intervention there where the cause was suppressed by the government not wanting it to come out. But I don't know. It's Jasper Fire was definitely from lightning strikes. Those reports are very clear. But as we get into the fire season, I'll call it right now, you can see even just from, like, if we go back a week ago, like look at Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta with the weather we had then. Compared to with that heat wave going on, what it looks like today. So even in Ontario now with that precipitation that happened, they had all that rain, they're starting to finally dry up, and the fire danger is quite high. And then the fire weather index, it's just starting to slowly creep up into Manitoba, Saskatchewan. So other information, this is today is the anniversary too for Matthias Column and Pimicamac Cree Nation that were ordered to evacuate as a province-wide state of emergency was declared. So those fires, and then we're kind of tracking too the Red Earth Cree Nation. They had 631 people evacuate, and they had 6 homes that were damaged. So yeah, and these are basically, you can get in here like all the new fire starts that have occurred over the last 24 hours and fires of significance. And this would be for all the provinces and territories. There's that heat warning that we're currently sitting in right now. And then 2 out of control fires in southeastern BC ignited earlier, and an anticipated El Nino climate pattern, lingering drought in some regions have raised concerns about another one. So that's basically based off the fire weather index here. You can see that, and that's only going to grow as the heat continues and the warm, dry air hits us. Basically, given the fact that I think provinces are doing a better job at being prepared with training and equipment, but we've also had a very slow entry into the wildfire season. So I don't know how that's going to play out in terms of when things really erupt, especially with Alberta heading into some areas where we're expecting some thunder showers. There is some lightning strikes that are forecasted. Not so much up in the north, but they are going to move across where this fire weather index is quite extreme. And that's kind of where in our training certificate program that people can access right now, through here, it walks you through the story of an emergency management coordinator coming into a small remote community called Lynx River in the late summer. And that position hasn't had an emergency management coordinator in it for about 9 months. So, you know, fairly similar to like a lot of communities, you know, that seat's been vacant. And you get welcomed to the Nation office through the story, and you start to learn about the 4 components of the emergency management framework and the emergency management system. So you kind of go through this in great detail, and you run through a few scenarios. We discuss the importance of emergency management, working with other departments, working with elders, talking to the community, involving youth, even, you know, the inclusion of some technology and AI related materials comes into the story as well. So we're focused on providing an overall holistic picture of emergency management in the context of Indigenous communities, even addressing issues like substance abuse, organized crime, mental health crisis, things like that, right? Because those are all risks in the community as well. And we want to be able to show new emergency management coordinators and fire personnel and anyone who works in that system what it means to integrate into the emergency management framework and community, not only for their nation, but with Canada as well. So that is all available through our app. And, you know, if you want the certificate, it's, again, you get a digital badge and you get a paper certificate. So when you finish it, for your employer or for your resume, you get a special link that you can share. It's your link with your credential ID. It doesn't expire. Your boss, your manager, new employers, they can come on here and see what this badge represents. They can take a look at who HazardScape is, and you can also then download your certificate in a PDF. And that's all available on our app for family and child services, First Nations staff and tribal council staff. If you work for any Indigenous organization or community, you can take this certificate program. It is sponsored right now, so that's why there's no cost for the summer. And you will earn that. And we're going to drop the other 5 learning modules next month as they're prepared. But right now, you get the first 3 units, and then you'll see the next 5 show up here. And the other unique thing about it is if you're doing your training for a community or even for yourself, you're going to earn learning credits. And if you are an employee of a community, that community will earn back their emergency management support and services costs for this entire application, which also hosts other tools like a resilience assessment, hazard risk assessment, on-reserve fire assessment, EM program assessment. There's a planning hub and grant writers for, you know, either emergency management coordinators on or off reserve, Métis, and Inuit. So yeah, we'll be delivering this training all summer. Some have requested in-person training. We can do that as well. And yeah, it's the most open emergency management training program you're going to find in Canada. And so we're really excited to be hosting that. And we're, this is all in preparation for the upcoming, climate change events that are just going to continue to press upon us, right? It's just going to continue to press upon us as we move forward into the future. So if you have any questions, or if you're watching the recording of this, it's going to be this. If you're just tuning in, this will be on YouTube. I'll post the recording on YouTube so you can watch the entire thing. On our YouTube channel, we also have our daily briefs. You can head over there and watch a complete rundown of the flood, fire, other risks across Canada. And it's all based off of the daily sit rep that you can also access within our app that is updated daily. And you can access it on the app, or you can email us and I can add you to our email list. And it will just kind of basically keep you up to date on some of the latest information and news you can use for Indigenous communities across the country, as we are an Indigenous informed organization, and we only work with Indigenous communities. And that's why we've taken sponsorship from 2 organizations. One, All About Abatement. They are a First Nations owned, and you're going to actually see a video come out where I just actually today finished a tour of their facility and the work that they're doing to help make homes on reserve and off reserve, and in any community for that fact, a little bit safer and a little bit healthier by abating vermiculite, asbestos, lead, fire contamination, mold, all that stuff. So thank you to Kyle and his team at All About Abatement for sponsoring our training and our work. And then also Darcy at Premier Fire and Flood. They are Alberta, Canada owned. They do fire and water restoration on reserve, off reserve, in any community, schools, homes, band offices, whatever it is. They even do vandalism restoration and disaster restoration. And what's really cool about them is they've got like a 50-foot trailer that is sitting out on their yard, filled with equipment ready to respond at a moment's notice for small and remote communities that need equipment to deal with mold and water and smoke contamination really quickly. So especially as we head into wildfire season and we look at doing a lot of restoration, then we want to make sure that communities have the expertise, the resources, the equipment that they need to start their restoration or their abatement project really, really quickly. Because the longer mold or smoke contamination or anything like that sits around, then the more costly it becomes if it just lingers, right? And some of that information we're going to be putting into our training as well. So emergency management coordinators, planners, anyone that works in a community, even housing managers can access it, health directors, child and family service organizations, they can access the training, get their certificate, and learn a little bit about the disaster restoration process, which, again, that's a first in Canada. So really excited to launch that as we start to combat and deal with, climate change and develop the next generations, the next several generations of emergency managers in First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, you have any questions, let me know. If you missed the start of this, it is recorded and it will be on our YouTube. We're live streaming. I'm live streaming remote right now, just making sure that everything's fine-tuned as we start our summer and get into remote training and things like that. Even you know, the training that I was just showing on our app, it complements in class really well. So hoping to kind of mix up the in class and the app training with Zoom calls and remote training and mentorship quite a bit as we get into the you know, this whole kind of like hot weather that's coming up. It's just gonna get hot. Like, that's all I can say. We're already seeing it. El Nino is right upon us. If you look at the temperatures that are pushing up right now, it's just incredible. And that's 1 o'clock. Let's go to 5 p.m. tonight. You can see here across Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. And then, you know, as we get into like even Monday next week, that heat is forecasted to push up across the prairies, and it's just going to kind of continue to increase the fire danger. So yeah, if you are tuning in to us, please give us a share and a like so others like you can find it. We appreciate your support. This is what makes our certification training no cost, because I believe emergency management training shouldn't be time consuming, expensive, or costly. I think it's a skill set that if you have a job, you should have a little bit of emergency management basic training and knowledge. So if you have any questions, leave us a comment. It's always good to hear what people want more of, less of, and try to engage that way. If you want to catch our daily live streams at 8:30 in the morning with our full situational brief, Facebook and YouTube. That's where you can get those live streams. This platform doesn't like us showing these maps and this content for some reason. TikTok continues to suppress our lives because they say it's reproduced, but this is all publicly available information. And they were even suppressing me showing my own application here, my own website. So I'm not too sure what's going on from a community guidelines point, but I'm getting overly annoyed with TikTok Live, and that's, I think, what's causing some of the suppression of these to be shared. So yeah, I think that's good for today. I'll be back tomorrow morning. If you want to catch us on our live, you can sign up for our app.hazardscape.com. It's got all the planning tools, assessments that you need for a full emergency management design and program. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Vanished. Thanks for watching the recording of this. We will be back tomorrow, and I'll probably do another live stream on here if I get an opportunity. Take care, know your hazardscape, and be prepared.